Hi, welcome back to Artscape. As promised, I have another aspect or talent to show you in our Miss Robyn Ryan today. Not only are we surrounded by beautiful paintings, she is a painter and a sculptor, and for the second half of our segment, she's going to be sharing with us this beautiful artwork that sits before us. Robyn, but where do we begin with this? I have no idea or any concept of how one takes and sculpts a three-dimensional item. So.
Well, you know, with all of the modeling of the form that you achieve in the paintings and whatnot, it just wasn't tactile. And so I've always wanted to sculpt, but I was too scared to walk into the foundry we have here at Fredericksburg with the Wagner brothers. So I actually went up to the Art League in Alexandria and took a bronze casting class. I've never taken a sculpting class at that time.
And how long ago was that?
Oh, that was about 7 years ago.
7 years ago.
About 7 years, I'm guessing.
And then you just decided 7 years ago you just want to take this to another level.
Before I walked into the real foundry, I wanted to be a little more literate. So I decided to go learn about the process and whatnot. And I was able to sculpt a small horse bust, and I did this mask. This mask here is my first piece, and it is a mask of my face, and it's how I determined that I had a crooked nose. But it is kind of symbolic of my emerging and metamorphosis as an artist. And so that's where you have the idea of the closed eye moving to the opening eye, kind of a basic neutral face to a small smile and the flower blooming. So it's very symbolic. But this was made just basically, it's one of a kind. These are all done in the lost wax process. Okay. And I'll explain that briefly.
Okay, yes.
And that way I can highlight these other pieces. I well, I just want you to see the other pieces. Here we have an example of a work in progress. I work in oil-based clay. It's on a wire armature. And he's getting close to go to the foundry, but not quite. I have to refine the details and smooth it out, but the basic structure is there. And this is a portrait of my husband's horse, Jack. From the clay, I take this to the foundry, and they create a silicone mold of it. Okay. From that, they produce a wax version. So you will see a wax version of this when it's ready. There's a very complicated process as far as what they didn't do to that wax. Don't have time to go into that. But bottom line, they create a mold around the wax that when it's in the very hot furnace there, it melts out. That's where the wax is lost. It's the lost wax process because you burn out the wax and you're left with a ceramic mold that can withstand the molten metal. So they take that mold and then they pour the molten metal in, and then all the heavy tools come out, and the process is a lot more than just me. I come up with the original artwork, I participate in the steps, but there's so many artisans along the way. Who makes the mold? Who actually does the finishing, the patina work, the finish, as far as what color it ends up. It's quite a team process.
Now, do you decide that, the color?
Absolutely, absolutely. I had, actually, it was like a silver nitrate. It's all these wild chemicals. The bust was actually a dappled gray, but it wasn't painted. It was actual chemical reaction in the metal patina. This one actually has some, if you look very closely at it, has modeling in it, whereas this is a much more classic dark bronze. This one is one of a kind because I made my own mold. And they were very tolerant of me. So it's kind of a progression that I've done here. So this is a one of a kind that basically I created the original in wax. I tried to do a clay version, but it just did not work. So I ended up rebuilding it in wax. So this is a one of a kind. This is an addition. I actually have the mold professionally made by the foundry. And so this is number 2 of a 15-item addition. I sold the first one to some horse rides of mine.
And have you completed all 15?
No.
How far along are you in that process?
It's just a matter of me consigning with the foundry to take my mold over and have them cast another and go through the process.
And when do you do just originals? Do you ever, or do you sell? How many do you sell of particular?
They will all be for sale.
They will be.
As attached as I get to them, as I evolve, you know, it's like I don't have room for them all. So
I can imagine, but I
like to find good homes for them that I know where they'll be loved and appreciated.
Like real animals. No, I look at the work that you put into it, or any artist into their work, and I would think that would be such a difficult thing to do, is just letting go. You know?
It can be for a while. Sometimes you don't put things for sale for a while, but eventually you move on and you grow and you change. And as important as it is to you, that piece, you can let it go because something else is taking its place.
On its way, exactly.
Absolutely.
And so do you just work with the animal figures as well?
Primarily in this bronze right now, I'm working primarily with the animals, but I do have one where I'm doing a horse and a groom.
Oh, very nice. Together. I was just wanting to go back to the process for those viewers who are interested in this. So you start with your clay. How large of a piece of clay? How do you go from a rectangular piece of clay, I'm assuming it was, to this figure? Where do you start chopping out? And
it's actually not a carving process like that. There is a wire armature. It's really fun to build too, because it's like plumber supply and aluminum wire.
Oh.
The insides of what's there is very interesting. But what you do then is you take the block of clay and you just take the small pieces and you build it up. And so it's very additive in the beginning. And then it's a matter of adding and subtracting until you get the shape. The challenge is that you get to look at it from all different angles.
Right.
And so you have to, it's not just one dimension like the paintings. You actually have, it takes longer because you're looking at it from the above and from below and from all sides.
Was it hard to transition from that flat surface to the three-dimensional?
No. It's like play. And that's what a lot of my art has become, which is wonderful because my whole point is celebrate life. And so if I'm playing when I'm making my art, then that joy is conveyed. So.
Wow. Well, I would like to get a few more details out to our viewing audience with the short time that we have left. Let us begin with, where could we find your artwork here in the area?
I have a show coming up at Studio A at 1101 Princess Anne Street. That's for April. So I will have a first Friday reception as well as a second Friday reception, being that the 6th is Good Friday. So I wanted to make sure that I had the option for folks that could not make it then.
And in addition to that, you also have a...
Oh, I have a website, a portfolio website, and let me read that to you.
Yes, please.
www.ryan.myexpose.com.
Okay, and you also have a working shop down in Fredericksburg?
I actually rent studio space with some other artists in Fredericksburg in the old Creamery building. And it's a wonderful space where it's focused and I don't get distracted with the chores that I really need to be doing at home and whatnot.
And I think by appointment people can call you there as well.
Absolutely.
Do you have a phone number for that location?
Sure, 540-424-0806.
Well, I so enjoyed looking at, I marvel at your talent and what you produce as an artist and a sculptor. And I thank you for sharing your art with us as well as your time with us. And I'm sure there are viewers out there that are anxious to maybe get started into something like this. And I encourage you, as Susan Sablon encourages you, please get out there and find that artist in you and do what makes you happy. Celebrate life and enjoy. And in the meantime, you'll be pleasing so many other people that get to see that work. Robyn, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you today. And thank you for joining us on Artscape. Have a great day.